The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Danny Carter was standing knee-deep in swamp water when his phone buzzed. He ignored it at first. He had more important things to worry about. A 4-meter saltwater crocodile was watching him from 10 feet away, and Danny knew better than to look away from those eyes. The crocodile's name was Brutus. He was 17 years old, weighed over 1,000 pounds, and had a bite force that could crush a car door like paper. Danny had raised him since he was a hatchling. They understood each other. That did not mean Danny trusted him. Nobody who truly understood crocodiles ever trusted them. Danny finished his work and walked back to the facility. He checked his phone and found 17 missed calls from numbers he did not recognize. There was also an email marked urgent from someone claiming to be a government official. He almost deleted it, but something made him open it instead. The email explained that Earth had been contacted by aliens 3 years ago. This was not news to Danny. Everyone knew about the Galactic Council now. What he did not know was that the council was hosting something called the Beast Exhibition. It was an ancient tradition where species from across the galaxy brought their deadliest creatures to a neutral station. The purpose was to demonstrate planetary strength and earn respect among council members. Earth had been invited. The email said that Danny Carter had been selected to represent humanity. Danny laughed out loud. He thought it was a joke. But then 3 black SUVs pulled into his parking lot, and men in suits stepped out with serious faces. 2 weeks later, Danny was sitting in a government conference room with a woman named Lisa Monroe. She was a xenobiologist, which meant she studied alien life. She was young, smart, and clearly nervous about being assigned to this mission. "I don't understand," Lisa said, looking at the file spread across the table. "We have lions. We have tigers. We have great white sharks. Why are we bringing a crocodile?" Danny leaned back in his chair. "Have you ever seen a salty hunt?" Lisa shook her head. "A lion chases its prey," Danny explained. "A shark circles and strikes. But a crocodile? A crocodile waits. It sits in murky water for hours, days, weeks. It does not move. It does not blink. And then, in 1 second, it explodes. The prey never sees it coming. They never have a chance." Lisa swallowed hard. "That sounds terrifying." "It is," Danny agreed. "Crocodiles have been on Earth for over 200 million years. They survived the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. They have not needed to evolve because they are already perfect killing machines. Nothing else on our planet matches that." The government officials approved the choice. Brutus would represent Earth at the Beast Exhibition. The journey to the station took 6 days. Danny spent most of that time in the cargo hold with Brutus, making sure the containment unit stayed at the right temperature. Lisa visited often. She asked questions about crocodiles, about Earth's wildlife, about Danny's life as a handler. "Are you scared of him?" She asked one evening. Danny looked at Brutus through the reinforced glass. The crocodile floated motionless in the water, only his eyes and snout visible above the surface. "Every single day," Danny admitted. "That's how I've stayed alive this long." The station was enormous. Danny had never seen anything like it. It was built on an asteroid and stretched for miles in every direction. Ships from dozens of species were docked at various ports. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked the corridors. Some had scales, others had feathers, and some looked like nothing Danny could describe. Earth's delegation was small. Just Danny, Lisa, and a few diplomats who mostly stayed out of the way. They were assigned a section of the station for their creatures' containment and given a schedule for the exhibition. On their first day, they met Ambassador Vrethka. The Torvian diplomat was tall and covered in dark blue scales. His eyes were yellow and cold, and his voice carried a mocking tone that made Danny's jaw tighten. "So this is humanity's representative," Vrethka said, looking Danny up and down. I expected someone more impressive. Danny said nothing. He had dealt with arrogant people before. He knew that words were usually wasted on them. Vrethka turned his attention to the containment unit. "And this is your beast? A water lizard?" "Crocodile," Danny corrected. Vrethka made a sound that might have been laughter. "I have seen your planet's files. Soft ground, thin atmosphere, weak gravity. Your creatures are grass eaters and pond dwellers. This exhibition will be a lesson for your species. Perhaps then you will understand your place in the galaxy." He walked away without waiting for a response. Lisa's face was red with anger. "Who does he think he is?" "Someone who has never been to Earth," Danny said calmly. That evening, they received a visitor. Her name was Counselor Mira Yen. She was smaller than most aliens Danny had seen, with silver skin and large dark eyes that seemed full of concern. "I wanted to warn you," Myra said quietly. "The Torvians are using this exhibition to block Earth's full membership in the Council. They see your species as weak and unworthy. Vrethka will do everything he can to humiliate you." Lisa frowned. "Why are you telling us this?" Myra hesitated. "Because I have studied your planet. I have read your history. I do not think you are weak. I think the galaxy is making a terrible mistake by underestimating humanity." Danny appreciated the warning, but he did not need it. He had seen the way Vrethka looked at Brutus. The alien saw a simple reptile floating in dirty water. He saw something primitive and harmless. Danny knew better. He knew what waited beneath that still surface. The exhibition would begin in 3 days. Danny spent every hour preparing. He checked Brutus's vitals, adjusted the water temperature, and made sure everything was perfect. Lisa watched him work with growing curiosity. "You really think we can win this?" she asked. Danny smiled for the first time since leaving Earth. "I think they have no idea what's coming." In the containment unit, Brutus remained perfectly still. His ancient eyes watched everything. He had been waiting for 200 million years. He could wait a little longer. The main hall of the exhibition was built to impress. It stretched for nearly a kilometer, with massive containment fields lining both sides. Thousands of spectators filled the viewing platforms above, representing species from every corner of the galaxy. The noise was overwhelming, a mix of clicks, growls, and languages that Danny could not begin to understand. Lisa stayed close to him as they walked through the crowd. She had been quiet all morning, her eyes moving nervously from one alien creature to another. "This is insane," she whispered. "Some of these things look like nightmares." Danny had to agree. The creatures on display were unlike anything on Earth. The Krellish had brought a pack-hunting beast with armored scales and 6 legs. It moved with terrifying speed inside its containment field, snarling at anyone who came too close. The Velnorians presented a flying predator with razor-sharp wings and a screech that made Danny's ears ring. The Mordith unveiled a creature that seemed to be made entirely of shadows, its form shifting and changing in ways that hurt to watch. Each species took turns presenting their beasts to the crowd. They boasted about hunting records, kill counts, and the fear their creatures inspired on their home worlds. The audience cheered and gasped with each new display. Danny watched it all with a calm expression. He had spent his entire life around dangerous animals. He knew that size and noise did not always equal danger. Some of the deadliest creatures on Earth were small and silent. The Torvians were scheduled before the humans. Ambassador Vrethka stepped onto the central platform with obvious pride. Behind him, a containment field shimmered to life, revealing his species champion. The creature was massive. It stood 12 feet tall at the shoulder and had 6 powerful legs covered in thick, dark scales. Its head was broad and flat, with rows of venomous fangs that dripped a greenish liquid. 2 long tails whipped behind it, each ending in a spike that looked capable of piercing metal. Behold the Torvian Ravager, Vrethka announced. For 10,000 years, this beast has been the apex predator of our world. It fears nothing. It hunts everything. There is no creature in the galaxy that can match its power. The crowd roared with approval. The Ravager let out a deafening bellow and slammed its body against the containment field, making the energy barrier flicker. Lisa grabbed Danny's arm. How are we supposed to compete with that? Danny just watched. He noticed things that others missed. The Ravager was loud and aggressive, yes, but it was also impatient. It wasted energy with every movement. It relied on intimidation rather than strategy. Brutus never wasted energy. Brutus never relied on fear. Earth's turn came last. This was intentional. Danny had learned that the Council always put new species at the end, giving established members the chance to set expectations. By the time Earth was announced, the crowd was already bored and restless. Danny walked to the central platform alone. Lisa wanted to come, but he asked her to stay with Brutus. He needed to do this part himself. The screen behind him lit up with images of Earth. Blue oceans, green forests, golden deserts. The audience murmured with mild interest, but Danny could see the dismissive looks on many faces. They had already decided that Earth was nothing special. Humans, the announcer's voice echoed through the hall. Representing the planet Earth, they present their chosen beast, the Saltwater Crocodile. A containment field activated at the edge of the platform. Inside was a tank filled with murky brown water. The surface was completely still. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the laugh started. It began with the Torvians, but it spread quickly. Aliens pointed at the tank and made sounds of amusement. Some shouted insults that Danny's translator could not fully process. Others simply shook their heads and looked away. Vrethka's voice cut through the noise. Is this a joke? Where is the creature? Danny remained calm. He is there. I see nothing but dirty water, Vrethka sneered. Perhaps your beast is too frightened to show itself. More laughter. Danny did not respond. He knew that explaining would be pointless. Words could not describe what Brutus was capable of. They would have to see it for themselves. The formal presentation ended without incident. Danny returned to his section of the station with Lisa at his side. She was frustrated, her hands clenched into fists. They laughed at us, she said bitterly. They didn't even give us a chance. They will, Danny replied. That evening, Mira Yen came to visit again. She found Danny sitting beside the containment tank, watching Brutus float motionless in the water. I am sorry for what happened today, Myra said softly. The Council can be cruel to newcomers. Danny shrugged. I've dealt with worse. Myra studied the tank with curious eyes. I still cannot see your creature clearly. Is it always this hidden? Always, Danny confirmed. That's the point. Mira tilted her head. I do not understand. The other species show their beasts openly. They want everyone to see the danger. Danny finally looked away from the tank. On Earth, we have a saying. The loudest animal in the jungle is usually the prey. The real predators don't announce themselves. They wait. They watch. And when the moment is right, they strike before anyone knows what happened. Myra was quiet for a moment. You speak as if your creature is intelligent. Not intelligent, Danny said. Perfect. Crocodiles have survived longer than almost any predator on Earth. They don't need to be smart. They just need to be patient. As if responding to his words, Brutus shifted slightly in the water. His eyes, two yellow orbs barely visible above the surface, fixed on Myra. She took an involuntary step backward. His eyes, she whispered. They're watching me. They're always watching, Danny said. That's what makes him dangerous. You will never know he's hunting you until it's too late. Myra left shortly after, her expression troubled. Danny remained beside the tank, until the station's lights dimmed for the night cycle. Lisa found him there hours later. "You should sleep. Tomorrow is the demonstration round." Danny nodded but did not move. "Do you know why I agreed to come here?" Lisa shook her head. "Because everyone thinks Earth is weak," Danny said quietly. "They think our planet is soft. They think our creatures are harmless. They look at humans and see small, fragile beings with no claws, no fangs, no armor." He turned to face her. "They have no idea what it took for us to become the dominant species on Earth. They don't understand what we survived." In the tank, Brutus sank beneath the surface and disappeared completely. The water went still. If you did not know he was there, you would never guess that death was waiting just below. "Tomorrow," Danny said, "they will learn." The demonstration round was supposed to be simple. Each species would show their beast's hunting abilities in a controlled environment. Targets would be released, and the creatures would do what nature designed them to do. It was meant to be a display of raw power. Nothing more. But Ambassador Vrethka had other plans. Danny was preparing Brutus for transport when the announcement came through the station speakers. An official challenge had been issued under Article 7 of the exhibition rules. The Torvian delegation was invoking their right to demand a direct demonstration against Earth's beast. Lisa's face went pale. "What does that mean?" One of the human diplomats rushed over with a datapad. His hands were shaking. "It means they want a confrontation. The Torvians are sending a hunting drone into an arena with the crocodile. They want to prove that Earth's creature is inferior." Danny read the challenge details on the screen. The arena would be a neutral space, configured to give neither side an advantage. The Torvian drone was a military-grade machine designed for tracking and eliminating targets. It had thermal sensors, motion detectors, and enough firepower to kill a creature 3 times Brutus's size. "This is a trap," Lisa said. "They want to humiliate us publicly." Danny handed the datapad back to the diplomat. "I accept." Everyone stared at him. "Are you insane?" Lisa demanded. "That drone will tear Brutus apart. He's just an animal. He can't fight a machine." Danny looked at her calmly. "I have one condition. I want the arena configured for a wetland environment. Warm water, low visibility, natural terrain." The diplomat hesitated. "I'll submit the request, but they might refuse." "They won't refuse," Danny said. "Vrethka is arrogant. He thinks he's already won. He'll agree to anything that makes this look fair." 2 hours later, the arena was ready. It was a massive circular space, flooded with knee-deep water that had been heated to match Earth's tropical swamps. Mud banks rose at irregular intervals, and thick mist hung in the air, reducing visibility to only a few meters. The lighting was dim, casting everything in shades of brown and gray. The viewing platforms above were packed. Word had spread quickly about the challenge, and thousands of aliens had gathered to watch Earth's humiliation. Vrethka stood at the front of the Torvian section, his yellow eyes gleaming with anticipation. Danny entered the arena control room with Lisa and Myra Yen. The counselor had insisted on being present, though Danny was not sure why. "The drone is being deployed," a technician announced, on the monitors. Danny watched a sleek black machine descend into the arena. It was about the size of a large dog, with multiple sensor arrays and 2 mounted weapons. It moved smoothly across the water's surface, scanning the environment with cold efficiency. "Releasing the Earth creature," another technician said. A containment field opened at the far end of the arena. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a dark shape slipped into the water and vanished. Beneath the surface, Brutus was in the arena. The drone detected the movement immediately. Its sensors locked onto the disturbance, and it began advancing, weapons primed. The crowd watched in tense silence as the machine swept back and forth, searching for its target. Minutes passed. The drone continued its patrol, finding nothing. The water was too murky for visual sensors. The heat from the warm water confused the thermal imaging. The crocodile had disappeared completely. In the viewing platform, Vrethka's confident expression began to fade. "Where is it?" "The creature is hiding like a coward." Lisa glanced at Danny. He was watching the monitors with complete focus, his eyes tracking something no one else could see. "He's not hiding," Danny murmured. "He's positioning." On the screen, the drone paused near a mud bank. Its sensors detected a faint heat signature, and it adjusted its weapons to fire that it never got the chance. The water exploded. Brutus launched himself from beneath the surface with terrifying speed. His massive jaws clamped down on the drone before it could react. The sound of crushing metal echoed through the arena as over 3,000 pounds of bite force destroyed the machine in an instant. The drone's weapons fired wildly as its systems failed, but the shots went wide. Brutus thrashed once, twice, and then dragged the mangled remains beneath the surface. The water churned with bubbles and debris. Then everything went still. The arena fell silent. The crowd stared at the monitors in disbelief. Where a highly advanced killing machine had floated seconds ago, there was now only dark water and scattered pieces of metal. Myra, Yen's voice was barely a whisper. "What just happened?" Danny finally relaxed. A crocodile happened. In the Torvian section, Vrethka was frozen in shock. His scales had turned a lighter shade of blue, which Danny suspected was a sign of fear. Around him, other aliens were murmuring anxiously, pointing at the arena and speaking in rapid, worried tones. Lisa grabbed Danny's arm. "How fast was that?" "I barely saw him move." "About 15 miles per hour, Danny said. In the water, a crocodile can accelerate faster than most prey can react. The whole attack took less than 2 seconds. The technicians began draining the arena. As the water level dropped, Brutus became visible again. He was resting on a mud bank, perfectly calm, as if nothing had happened. Pieces of the drone were scattered around him like broken toys. The official results were announced moments later. Earth's creature had successfully eliminated the Torvian drone. The challenge was complete. Danny requested permission to retrieve Brutus personally. He waded into the shallow water while Lisa watched nervously from the control room. The crocodile's eyes tracked him as he approached, but Brutus did not move. They had done this dance 1,000 times before. "Good boy," Danny said quietly. "Very good boy." He guided Brutus back to the containment unit with practiced ease. The crocodile followed without resistance, his ancient instincts satisfied for the moment. As Danny emerged from the arena, he found Mira Yen waiting for him. Her dark eyes were wide, and her hands were trembling slightly. "I have studied predators from over 200 worlds," she said. "I have never seen anything like that. The speed, the precision, the patience." "How long was he waiting down there?" "As long as he needed to," Danny replied. Myra shook her head slowly. "And you say this creature is common on Earth?" "That there are many of them?" "Thousands," Danny confirmed. "In Australia alone, there are over 100,000 saltwater crocodiles. They've been hunting like this for 200 million years." Myra looked at Brutus through the containment field. The crocodile floated motionless once again, invisible beneath the murky water. "Your planet," she said quietly. "It is not what we thought." Danny smiled grimly. "No, it really isn't." The footage spread across the station within hours. Danny saw it playing on screens in corridors, dining halls, and common areas. Aliens would stop and watch, their expressions shifting from curiosity to disbelief to something that looked very much like fear. The video showed the attack from multiple angles. Slow-motion replays captured the moment Brutus exploded from the water. Frame by frame, viewers could see the crocodile's jaws opening, the rows of teeth gleaming, and the drone being crushed like it was made of paper. The whole sequence lasted less than 2 seconds in real time, but the replays stretched it out, making every detail visible. Danny tried to avoid the attention, but it was impossible. Wherever he walked, aliens turned to stare. Some moved out of his way quickly. Others watched from a safe distance, whispering to each other in languages he could not understand. Lisa found him in the observation deck late that evening. He was standing alone, looking out at the stars. "Everyone is talking about it," she said. "I've been getting messages from species I've never even heard of. They want to know more about Earth." Danny nodded slowly. "What kind of questions?" Lisa pulled out her datapad and scrolled through the messages. "They want to know if the crocodile is really one of our deadliest creatures. They seem to think it must be the most dangerous thing on Earth." Danny laughed softly. "What did you tell them?" "The truth," Lisa said. "I told them that crocodiles kill about 1,000 people per year on Earth. Then they asked what kills more. So I told them about mosquitoes." Danny raised an eyebrow. "How did they react?" Lisa's expression was somewhere between amused and disturbed. "They did not believe me at first. They thought I was lying. So I sent them the data. Mosquitoes kill over 700,000 humans every year through disease transmission. When they confirmed the numbers, 3 delegations immediately requested quarantine protocols for any Earth insects that might be on the station." Danny turned back to the window. "Did they ask about anything else?" Lisa hesitated. "They asked about sharks, and spiders, and snakes. And then they asked about humans." Danny said nothing. "They wanted to know how humans became the dominant species on Earth," Lisa continued. "They researched our history. They found out about our wars, our weapons, our ability to adapt to almost any environment. One of the Krellish delegates sent me a message asking if it was true that humans once hunted mammoths to extinction using nothing but sharpened sticks and coordination." Danny smiled faintly. "We've always been good at hunting." On the other side of the station, Ambassador Vrethka was not smiling at all. He had gathered several allied delegations in a private chamber, trying to salvage what remained of his reputation. "This changes nothing," Vrethka insisted. "The creature won a single challenge against a drone. That proves nothing about Earth's worthiness for council membership." One of the Krellish representatives shook her armored head. "Our analysts have reviewed the data. The force generated by that creature's bite exceeded anything we have recorded from organic life forms. It crushed military-grade alloys like they were hollow. And the ambush strategy," added a Valnorian delegate. "Our predators rely on speed and aggression. This creature uses patience. It waits for the perfect moment and strikes without warning. That is not the behavior of a primitive beast. That is the behavior of a highly evolved killer." Vrethka slammed his fist on the table. "You are overreacting. One animal does not represent an entire planet. But it does represent evolution," the Krellish said. "If Earth's waters produce something like this, what else exists there? What other predators are waiting beneath the surface?" The Valnorian pulled up files on a holographic display. "I have been researching Earth's fauna. The crocodile is terrifying, yes. But there are creatures that concern me more. The box jellyfish, for instance. It is nearly invisible in water and carries enough venom to kill 60 adult humans in minutes. And the blue-ringed octopus. It is smaller than a human hand, but its venom has no antidote." Vrethka stared at the images. His confidence was cracking. "Then there are the land predators," the Valnorian continued. "Bears, wolves, big cats. Creatures that hunt in groups with coordinated strategies. And the insects. Earth has species of ants that wage wars against each other, killing millions. They have wasps that paralyze prey and lay eggs inside living bodies." "Enough," Vrethka said quietly, but the Valnorian was not finished. "The most disturbing thing I found was not any single creature. It was the fact that humans live alongside all of them. They swim in waters with crocodiles and sharks. They hike through forests with bears and mountain lions. They share their homes with spiders and snakes. And they consider this normal. Myra Yen had been listening from the doorway. She stepped forward now, her silver skin reflecting the holographic glow. I spoke with the human handler. She said. I asked him how his species survives on such a planet. He told me something I cannot stop thinking about. The room fell silent. He said that Earth made humans tough, Myra continued. He said that his species did not conquer their world by being the strongest or the fastest. They survived by learning. They studied every creature that could kill them, and they found ways to live with them. They adapted. She looked directly at Vrethka. If a species can dominate a planet filled with such predators, what does that say about them? What does it mean that they chose to bring the crocodile here, knowing it would be underestimated? Vrethka had no answer. Later that night, Myra found Danny again. He was sitting beside Brutus's containment unit, just as he had been before. You knew this would happen, Myra said. You knew they would research your planet after the demonstration. Danny did not deny it. I hoped they would. Why? Danny finally looked at her. Because humanity is tired of being dismissed. We've been part of the galactic community for 3 years, and every species we meet treats us like children. They see our small bodies and our short lifespans, and they assume we are weak. He gestured at the tank behind him. I brought Brutus because I wanted them to understand something. Earth is not a soft world. It's a death world. Everything there is trying to kill everything else, and humans survived anyway. We didn't just survive. We thrived. We became the most successful predator our planet has ever seen. Myra was quiet for a long moment. The other delegations are afraid now. They are calling for Earth to be classified as a threat. Danny shook his head. That's not what I want. I don't want them to fear us. I want them to respect us. In the containment tank, Brutus shifted slightly. His eyes caught the light, glowing like ancient gold. There's one more day of the exhibition, Danny said. I'll make them understand. The final day of the Beast exhibition arrived with tension hanging thick in the air. Danny could feel it the moment he stepped out of his quarters. Aliens who had ignored him days ago now watched his every move. Some looked at him with curiosity, others with suspicion, a few with open fear. The council chambers were filled beyond capacity for the closing ceremony. High Arbiter Zoldash presided over the proceedings from an elevated platform. He was ancient, even by galactic standards, with weathered gray skin and eyes that had seen empires rise and fall. His word carried more weight than any other on the station. Ambassador Vrethka had requested time to address the council before the final vote on Earth's membership. Danny was not surprised. The Torvian had been working behind the scenes all night, trying to turn fear into opposition. Honored delegates, Vrethka began, his voice echoing through the chamber. I come before you with a warning. Over the past days, we've all witnessed what Earth's creatures are capable of. We have seen a predator that hides beneath still water and strikes without warning. We have learned that this beast is merely one of thousands that inhabit their world. He paused for effect. But the creature is not what concerns me. What concerns me is the species that brought it here. The humans knew exactly what would happen when their beast destroyed our drone. They wanted us to research their planet. They wanted us to see the monsters that live there. Vrethka turned to face the human delegation. A species that has evolved alongside such horrors cannot be trusted. They have been shaped by violence and death. Their entire existence is built on survival at any cost. The Council must consider very carefully whether we want such beings among us. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Danny saw down on faces that had shown respect just hours earlier. Vrethka was good at what he did. He was twisting the truth just enough to make it sound like a threat. High Arbiter Zoldash raised a hand for silence. His ancient eyes moved to the human delegation. The representative from Earth may respond. Danny stood up slowly. He had never spoken to a crowd this large before. He was a crocodile handler from Florida, not a diplomat or politician. But he understood something that Vrethka did not. He understood that strength was not the same as aggression. He walked to the center of the chamber floor, feeling thousands of eyes on him. Ambassador Vrethka is right about one thing, Danny began. His voice was steady and calm. Earth is a dangerous world. Our oceans are filled with creatures that can kill without warning. Our lands have predators that hunt in packs and alone. Our insects carry diseases that have killed billions throughout our history. He let the words sink in before continuing. But the ambassador is wrong about what this means for humanity. We did not become the dominant species on Earth by being the most violent. We became dominant by being the most adaptable. We learned to understand the creatures around us. We studied their behaviors, their strengths, their weaknesses. And instead of trying to destroy them all, we found ways to live alongside them. Danny turned to face Vrethka directly. I have spent my entire life working with crocodiles. These animals could kill me any time they wanted. They are faster than I am, stronger than I am, and their instincts are sharper than any of my senses. But I am still alive because I respect them. I do not try to control them through force. I learn their patterns, I anticipate their needs, and I give them the space they deserve. He looked back at the council. That is what humanity offers the galaxy. Not violence, not conquest. We offer the wisdom of a species that learned to survive among monsters by understanding them rather than fighting them. The chamber was silent. I brought Brutus to this exhibition because I wanted you to see what Earth is really like, Danny continued. I wanted you to understand that our planet is not soft or weak. But I also wanted you to see that humans and crocodiles can exist together. We share the same waters. We walk the same shores. And we do this without constant war. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device. When this exhibition ends, I'm going to take Brutus home. He will return to the swamps of Florida where he belongs. He is not a weapon. He is not a threat. He is a creature of Earth, just as I am. Danny held up the device. This is my final statement to the council. I am requesting that Earth's beast be removed from the exhibition registry. We did not come here to threaten anyone. We came here to prove that we deserve respect. And we do not believe that respect should be built on fear. High Arbiter Zoldash leaned forward with interest. You would withdraw your creature? Even after winning the challenge? Danny nodded. Yes, because winning was never the point. The point was showing you who we are. The council erupted in discussion. Danny stood his ground as delegates argued and debated around him. Vrethka was shouting that it was a trick, a manipulation designed to make humanity look peaceful. Others disagreed, pointing out that no species in the history of the exhibition had ever voluntarily withdrawn a winning beast. Finally, Zoldash raised his hand again. The chamber fell silent. I have presided over this exhibition for longer than most of you have been alive, the High Arbiter said slowly. I have seen species bring their greatest killers here and boast about destruction. I've watched empires try to intimidate their way into power. But I have never seen what I witnessed today. He looked at Danny with something that might have been admiration. A species that proves its strength and then chooses mercy. A species that could threaten us, but instead asks for understanding. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Zoldash stood up from his platform. I cast my vote in favor of Earth's full membership in the Galactic Council. Not because I fear what humanity could do, but because I respect what they have chosen not to do. The vote was called. One by one, delegations registered their decisions. Danny watched the numbers climb, his heart pounding in his chest. When the final count was announced, Earth had been accepted by a margin of nearly 3-1. Lisa was beside him instantly, tears streaming down her face. "We did it. Danny, we did it." Danny allowed himself a smile. Brutus did most of the work. As the celebration continued around them, Myra Yan approached one last time. She looked at Danny with those dark, thoughtful eyes that seemed to see more than most. "You surprised everyone," she said, "including me. I truly did not expect you to withdraw." Danny shrugged. "Like I said, fear was never the goal." Myra nodded slowly. "I have one final question, if you will allow it." "Go ahead." She glanced at the containment unit where Brutus waited patiently. "Are there more creatures like that on Earth? Creatures as old and deadly and perfect?" Danny thought about the question. He thought about the great white sharks patrolling the oceans, the wolves howling in the mountains, the pythons coiling in the underbrush. He thought about the countless species that had survived millions of years through nothing but patience and instinct. Then he thought about humans, the creatures that had outlasted ice ages, conquered continents, and built civilizations while surrounded by predators on every side. He met Myra's eyes and smiled. "Thousands," he said. "But don't worry. We've been living with them for a very long time." He turned and walked back to the containment unit. Brutus was floating motionless, his ancient eyes watching the universe with the same calm patience he had shown for 200 million years. It was time to go home.